Going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh!
The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
We'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
What is up, everybody? It's theoretically a Tuesday with Sterling, but I'm not Sterling Holmes. I am Joshua Brisco, and it sure looks like I'm the only one here. So it's Tuesdays without Sterling. Hopefully that's a little Thanksgiving treat for you to enjoy the next little bit, as we're going to be talking about the exact midpoint right now between the Chiefs' win over the Indianapolis Colts and their upcoming game on Thanksgiving against the Dallas. Just kind of a wild spot to be in. That was a topic of press conferences for the Chiefs today, noting that that this is a quick turnaround after playing a ton of snaps for everyone on that offense, particularly thinking about Kareem Hunt and Travis Kelce. Can you get the energy level? Can you get the adrenaline of playing in Dallas on Thanksgiving? Can that be something that jump starts whatever extra little bit of juice you might need for this quick turnaround? Of course, the Dallas Cowboys also playing on a quick turnaround, but I was in kind of a surprising situation on Sunday as I was watching the Cowboys play. I was hesitantly rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think that it was a good thing for the Kansas City Chiefs for the Cowboys to win that game on Sunday, because now they have almost just as much to play for as the Chiefs do. Obviously, the Cowboys are a particularly fun brand of 500 with a tie mixed in there as well. But when you look at where the Cowboys defense has taken some positive steps as of late, and two theoretically very good offenses facing off in this game, the Cowboys have everything to play for. The Chiefs have everything to play for. Hopefully you are excited for a little Turkey Day action, as also Patrick Mahomes going back to his home state of Texas. So there are a lot of storylines, and if you'd like to maybe read a little bit about those storylines, you can do that, of course, on arrowheadaddict.com. Great stuff on the written front there, in addition to all of the podcasting and the video stuff that you obviously already know about. Check out arrowheadaddict.com, the great work being done by the crew there. You can subscribe, become a member, leave a comment, about a 5-star review like Sterling always asks for. Man, it would do my heart good if you went into the reviews today and you said, "This was my favorite Tuesday podcast of all time. More of this Brisco fella." No E. If you put an E at the end, they're going to know that you're making it up just because I said so. Brisco. End of last name spelling. But no matter what it is, you leave a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that very, very much. Before we fully set our sights on what's on the table on Thanksgiving, no pun intended, what's on the table for Chiefs-Cowboys, I do want to talk about what I think are the two big takeaways that you should have from Chiefs-Colts. I think there's one thing on each side of the ball, and yesterday, man, it's been a busy short week already, and it's going to stay busy for me the rest of the way. Holy smokes. Yesterday on my podcast, Everything Else with Joshua Brisco, available wherever you get your podcasts, I led with the Chiefs offense, even though I didn't think it was the most important takeaway. I thought maybe it was kind of maybe the most fun, maybe the most questioned over these last few weeks. But today here, I want to start with what I really do think deserves the bulk of your attention, and what I really do think deserves to be celebrated as the thing that won that football game. And by extension, arguably the thing that saved the Chiefs season. Now, look, it wouldn't have technically been over, but man, you're talking about being under 500 going into your Thanksgiving game and having literally no margin for error the rest of the way. The Chiefs now have a breath of wiggle room, but I mean, barely. Another stumble anywhere the rest of the way, and certainly now you're watching the standings, and you're probably going to need some help. You're going to need some timely losses from your rival. Well, they beat the Colts, and if they just win out the rest of the way, the Chiefs are going to be a playoff team. I feel great about that. Do I feel great about them actually winning out? No, because it's really hard to win football games in the NFL. This Chiefs team has lost games to teams it shouldn't have lost to, and arguably beaten teams they, air quotes, shouldn't have beaten. That's how the NFL moves at this point. But there was one particular thing for a relatively long stretch of time that kept this Chiefs season afloat. Today, on Tuesday, November 25th, I am thankful for the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Chris Jones had a great game in a game where Daniel Jones never took a sack. The front seven had probably its best game of the year at the time it was most needed. Jonathan Taylor was just a guy in this game. And even some of the pass catching weapons that we talked about a lot last week that were rightfully fear-inducing for Chiefs fans and potentially members of the Chiefs defense, they weren't afraid of him on Sunday. Like a really excellent effort all around. But the way this game ended is just remarkable. Just a truly unbelievable thing. Because on the final 3 possessions of the Colts, the regulation possessions, their 3 possessions in the fourth quarter, and on their possession in overtime, the Chiefs didn't just hold them scoreless. They didn't just bend and not break. They didn't bend a single time. On the Colts' last 4 possessions of the football game, when any score probably wins it, maybe in overtime it doesn't, maybe in overtime you had a little more wiggle room, I don't know. I'm not counting any of the offense's chickens without having personally seen them hatch. The Colts went 3 and out on their final 4 possessions. Bill Barnwell did me the favor here on Twitter, not me specifically, but did us the favor of going play by play. Here's what the Indianapolis Colts did on offense in the fourth quarter and overtime when any success, and certainly a touchdown, probably any field goal, would have likely put this game out of reach. Here's what the Colts did. Run for -2 yards. Incomplete pass. Incomplete pass, punt. Next drive. Incomplete pass, 7-yard completion. Incomplete pass, punt. Next possession. Incomplete pass, 6-yard completion, punt. Next possession, 4-yard completion, run for 5 yards, run for -2 yards, punt. That's as smothering of an effort as you can ask from a defense in the most vital time. Not just vital for the season, not just vital for the game. I mean, vital at every beat, every possession. The Colts ran 12 plays in that sequence that I just mentioned to you. They ran 12 plays and picked up 13 yards. You combine that with their wire-to-wire domination of that Colts offense, and specifically the running game with Jonathan Taylor, it was not a fair fight if you didn't know what the reputations of those 2 units were coming into the game. If you didn't know that the Colts were still the highest scoring offense in football, you would have assumed that the Chiefs defense has just been clearly the best run defense in football this year and that Indy finally met their kryptonite. With the narratives of this season, that takeaway is kind of incredible. But man, so many moving parts of that defense deserve so much credit for what they did against the Colts all the way into overtime on Sunday. Jonathan Taylor went 16 for 58 for 3.6 yards a carry. He didn't score. And really, the Colts scored 13 points against the Chiefs defense. That first touchdown drive was effectively a pick six. If Patrick Mahomes doesn't make the tackle himself, to stop it. It would have been a pick six. Instead, it's a couple plays later, and Daniel Jones throws the ball to Michael Pittman. And you go, okay, well, the Chiefs defense gave up a touchdown. Not really. They gave up a touchdown from the 3-yard line. It's just absolutely remarkable. A total door slamming against what had been the best offense in football this season. And the Chiefs have done this against running backs all year long. James Cook is the only running back to go up against the Kansas City Chiefs and cross 100 yards rushing this year, and they've played very good running backs. I've been talking about this for most of the season now. It started to feel like I've gotten repetitive, but I still don't feel like the Chiefs have gotten this reputation, certainly not nationally, and maybe not even locally. That from the very beginning, it was Amarian Hampton and Saquon Barkley and Cam Scatterbo, Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, Ashton Genty, Bill Krosky-Merritt. James Cook has a good day. The Broncos don't. Jonathan Taylor doesn't. And James Cook did it on 27 carries, by the way. In that Bills game, just to relitigate that, it was 4.2 yards per carry. His longest run was 17 yards. Good day at the office. Not a takeover game. The Chiefs have not lost a game to a running back in a very long time. I remember talking about this like years ago, going into the AFC Championship game against Derrick Henry's Titans. I remember writing a story at that time, and they're not going to lose to a running back. It's not how this team works. For a while in there, and with last year's offense, you kind of got a little bit worried. Is that quick strike ability in there for the offense? That's the other side. That's the thing that I started with yesterday, and I'm going second with today. In a lot of ways, it's almost as important. It's just not as unbelievably impressive as what the Chiefs defense did. But the Chiefs offense showed us something that I will talk about in just a moment after I tell you about Underdog. Usually this is where Stu does his best work, and I don't have anybody here to grade me on the fast reading at the end. So we'll see if I'm able to keep that Stu standard. But you know Underdog, and you have heard us talk about them many, many times. Football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. You can get off the bench, get into the game, head over to Underdog, and get rolling. Playing on Underdog, it's easy. You pick whether your favorite players are going to go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns. You've seen it. You know how this works. You get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. I've been on Underdog for a very long time. They had me hooked when I realized that I could change my profile picture to a dog of my choosing. In fact, I need to revisit that actually. That was before we had a Hopper, the miniature Schnauzer. I need to recheck and see if Underdog's got a Schnauzer option in there, because I feel like maybe Hopper is the little bit of good juju that I need for making these calls. So we got Chiefs-Cowboys. We got the whole Thanksgiving slate this week. You can go ahead and maybe you're curious about the Chiefs running game. I don't think Kareem Hunt's going to get 30 carries again, but I did see a comment go by earlier saying that maybe Kareem Hunt's going to be more like an emergency running back this week. I wouldn't go that far either. I think Kareem Hunt's probably still going to have to lead this running back room in a lot of ways, but Isaiah Pacheco appears to be set to return, so you'll have plenty of players you can build your picks around, and again, the entire Thanksgiving slate, I think, for a fun day to try to stitch up a little bit of Thanksgiving turkey on Underdog. Download the app today, sign up with promo code Arrowhead Addict to score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Arrowhead Addict. Underdog, make picks, win money. Okay, I don't know if Sterling's going to listen to this or not, but I'm going to do my best. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. I was putting together, I thought, a 9.2 performance. Totally cold out of the gate. Thought I was going to do it. Nobody's perfect, including the Kansas City Chiefs offense. It was not perfect against the Colts. It doesn't need to be perfect against the Cowboys, but it was darn good. And I guess I should say it was darn good when it mattered. Look, they ran more than 90 plays in this game. Travis Kelce ended up with his second highest, I think it may have been tied officially for his second highest snap count in a game ever. He's 36 years old. You want to talk about the wear and tear of this short week. That's one thing. But what the Chiefs offense did do that I find remarkably encouraging and frankly, almost mandatory just to keep the season moving in the right direction or to get the season moving in the right direction, frankly. We saw the offense do the thing. The Chiefs thing. The thing that has fueled the dynasty. Are you going to be a football team? Are you capable of being an offense that can get a teeny bit of wiggle room, a teeny bit of grass, and just erase a deficit? Can you take an opportunity that the defense may or may not give you, and can you turn that into a win that you, air quotes, shouldn't have had? Can you snatch victory from the jaws of defeat? The Chiefs have done that a ton over this era with Patrick Mahomes at the helm. It's never been a question of like, well, can Mahomes do it? We've seen Mahomes do it a lot. We hadn't seen the 2025 Chiefs do it. Certainly not in a little while, and certainly not with the Bills and Broncos games fresh in your mind and the bye week smack dab in the middle, just making for a really sad 3-week stretch there. I'm really, I was impressed and relieved to see Patrick Mahomes late in that game just ripping freaking laser beams to Rashee Rice to get some help from Xavier Worthy, to use the weapons around. And Rashee Rice, by the way, was not having a great game. In fact, it'd been kind of a weird stretch for him. Some of it's on him. Some of it might be scheming. We'll see. But Rashee Rice takes over at the end of that game. The Chiefs are able to beat some man-to-man coverage, which they've been struggling with for a little while. The offense finds that groove and makes the Colts pay for it. I kind of disagree with this comment from Major Chip Hazard. It said they were gifted a win from Indy. They legit decided to stop giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor in the fourth. Only 3 carries. We got lucky. My disagreement would be that the Colts didn't decide to stop giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor. It wasn't working. The Chiefs defense was doing a very good job of wrangling Jonathan Taylor on first and second down. When you are behind the sticks in those early down situations, it's hard to stick with your running game, even when it is the best running back in football. I totally would understand saying, hey, you just keep feeding this guy and eventually he's going to break one. But how long do you do that before you go, well, that's not really working here? I'm not sure. I guess we're going to have to throw to win this game. That's kind of the argument against the Colts, right? Is what happens when a defense does get you to your second thing. When your defense gets you away from Jonathan Taylor and says, all right, it's time for Daniel Jones to win this thing with a bunch of really good weapons around him. Well, the Chiefs secondary had a pretty darn good day against those weapons on the outside. They even handled Tyler Warren okay, which was a guy I was really worried about coming into this game. And then they limit Jonathan Taylor so much that the Colts start getting to their secondary options. I think it's, again, credit all around. There's a little NFL news for you, by the way. Schefter says the Bills have signed Brandon Cooks, just released at his request from the New Orleans Saints a couple days ago. Cleared waivers. Bills need to add some pass catchers in there somewhere. I'll say this. I saw some questions coming through earlier about Dameon Pierce, the former Texans running back who the Chiefs signed to their practice squad yesterday, or officially, he was out there for practice today. I'm going to play the middle a little bit here because I think that's where most of the truth is going to be. Let me ask you this. When the Chiefs parted ways with Clyde Edwards-Helaire the first time, they've only parted ways once, I suppose. When the Chiefs parted ways with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and he went and signed with the New Orleans Saints, what would you have told Saints fans to expect? Think about it, really. Clyde's a first-round pick. He's got a great rookie season. He has some injury issues. Never seems like quite the same player. Not quite the same burst. Useful. He knows the offense. The Chiefs still trust him to this day in pass protection. But when the Chiefs parted ways with Clyde and he went to New Orleans, if you went to a Saints podcast and all of the comments were about, thank God we got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He was a former first-round pick in 2020. He's going to be what they need. He's going to be what we need to spell Alvin Kamara out of our backfield. Chiefs running, the Saints running back room, two-headed monster. If you clicked the Saints podcast and you saw that, I believe that you would probably respond to the comments and say, hey, he's a nice guy, good dude, had a good stretch, hasn't quite been the same guy since the injury. I'm not sure I'd bet on him coming in and taking significant workload, but I go down that path to say that's what's happening here with Dameon Pierce. The Texans cut him in November. I mean, it's not a great running back room as is. He made a splash as a rookie. I liked him out of the draft. He's dealt with some mostly like soft tissue kind of injuries. It's a rare circumstance when a player is cut and it instantly becomes significantly better somewhere else. You can find some examples, like I think the Chiefs getting Mike Pennell after letting him walk for whatever reason at cutdowns. Getting him back mattered, but I knew that because he mattered in this defense last year. Tyquan Thornton, the Chiefs signed to the practice squad last year. He sits on the practice squad throughout the rest of the season. He's around for the entire offseason. Then he rises up the ranks this year, and he has mattered. That is so exceedingly rare. And that was after 6 or 8 months in the system, in the scheme, learning the offense, right? I like that the Chiefs added Dameon Pierce. I think that was a worthwhile move. I think it was a worthwhile addition. I think you do need more bodies in this running back room. I think he does still probably have more explosion right now than Clyde. He has more running back skills than Carson Steele. I think there's a good chance he sees the field before Elijah Mitchell sees it again for whatever reason the Chiefs have landed there. Price Carter asked, did I ever get tased for Clyde? I still haven't. I've been available this entire time. Seth Kaiser has never brought a taser with him from Minnesota. So I am available. I am ready. I am willing. I almost died that one time, not because of a taser. It was because of diabetes, but I didn't know that. Long story. So I think Seth got a little gun shy on the taser front for a while because he was afraid it might like put me in the dirt. I digress. So I do understand the idea that Pierce, I think it makes sense to add him to this offense. I was happy to see the move. If they would have sent off a 7th round pick at the trade deadline, I might have enjoyed that. I don't know. Like I'm happy to see him added to the practice squad for nothing. That's great. The Texans would have been fools to not have called 31 other teams at the deadline and say, hey, Dameon Pierce for a 6th, for a 7th? Anybody? He supposedly had interest from other teams once he hit the market, but it's just, I want you to put your expectations at a reasonable place for a guy who just kind of finally had his official breakup after drifting apart with the team that drafted him. I think it makes total sense. I think he could get actual carries this season. I really do. I think but I just, like there was the comment earlier about, giving Kareem Hunt like a week off and having Pierce ready to go. I'd be pretty surprised if we see Pierce on Thanksgiving. Andy Reid said today that Pacheco will play on Thursday. He didn't say how much, but he said he will play on Thursday. I think, and so if I've got my numbers right, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has one more practice squad elevation before they have to do some other math with him. I think that we probably either just see Hunt, Pacheco, and Brashard Smith, or maybe it's those guys and Clyde gets the call up. And then it's a little longer. I'd be really surprised if Pierce played after basically one walkthrough in Kansas City. That's just like a crazy quick turnaround. If you want him to have any understanding of the pass protection and stuff, which wasn't exactly his calling card in Houston. So I wanted to answer some of the questions and kind of see where the tone is. I like that they added Pierce to the practice squad. I think that is an absolute, no question, good move worth doing. I wouldn't expect to see him playing on Thanksgiving. I would expect to see him on the sideline and in a hoodie on Thanksgiving, and getting into this offense. But I'd wait a little bit before you proclaim him, I don't know, some sort of safety blanket for you in the offense. Oh, that's interesting. It's time for me to tell you about Cozy Earth. Let's see. You need a perfect gift to fix your football team. Oh no, for your family. You need a gift for your family that'll make you feel cozy and warm this holiday season. Think about the holidays. Think about the moments that you look forward to most. Maybe you like to curl yourself up in a blanket. I know I do. Get under a blanket. Bring your family. Have the trees glowing with their lights. Maybe your pup jumps up on your lap and curls up on a cozy blanket as a fire crackles. I hope I don't hear fire crackling in my house fireplace. But other than that, it's a great part of the holidays and being together. But one thing about the holidays that can be stressful, and I can speak from experience because I was trying to do some of this earlier, shopping for your family or friends or partner or whoever, that can be a challenge, especially there's no worse feeling than you work hard to find yourself a gift for that hard person to buy for in your family. And you give them the gift and you go, oh, that's nice. And then you 2 years later, you discover that this, I don't know, 9 million piece puzzle is still in the box. They haven't opened it. And you go, oh, well, I kind of whiffed on that, I suppose. Well, good news. Let me tell you that Cozy Earth can be the answer you've been looking for. They've got the quality, the comfort, and the lasting impact that you truly need for a gift that they will enjoy long after the holiday season over. They have a 100-night sleep trial. You can try them out. If you don't love them, you can return them hassle-free. I don't think you're going to want to, but you can. Plus a 10-year warranty, because once you feel this level of comfort, you're going to want it to last a decade. So here's what you can do. Give the gift of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays. This weekend only, from Thanksgiving Day through Cyber Monday, get 40% off at CozyEarth.com with our special code Arrowhead. That's code Arrowhead at CozyEarth.com for 40% off. It's the best deal of the year. And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention that you heard about Cozy Earth right here on Arrowhead Addict. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. I hope we have lots of things to look forward to on Thanksgiving, and I'll try to set the scene in the way that I'm expecting to. Here's what I have in mind, and I've already mentioned. I don't like that I was rooting for the Eagles last week, even though I've rooted against the Cowboys pretty easily most of my life. I do find it fascinating that the Cowboys are at a place where their playoff lives are very much in the mix, and they have become a better defense since, well, strangely enough, adding a really good defensive player. Who knew that the Cowboys might have just been one superstar pass rusher away from making an impact defensively? Obviously, they move Micah Parsons right at the beginning of the year. They get Quinnen Williams from the Jets at the trade deadline. That's been a real turning point for them defensively, and it's going to be an interesting thing for the Chiefs' running game. I do now have, just fresh off the presses, the Chiefs' injury report for today, courtesy of Matt Derrick, posting it out over on Twitter. So Chiefs safety Chris Roland-Wallace with his back was limited Tuesday. Trey Smith back and ankle. Is he only on here with the back? Ankle too. Okay. Yeah, Trey Smith is officially listed on there with the ankle. But Chris Roland-Wallace with the back limited today. Trey Smith with the ankle and Noah Gray with the concussion did not practice. I'll just go ahead and put the pin in it now to say really hard to imagine Noah Gray getting through the concussion protocol on a super short week after what appeared to be a pretty serious hit and an incredible catch, by the way. Shout out to Diabetic King Noah Gray. Let's go. And Chris Roland-Wallace, we'll see. Limited. I'm guessing they'll probably go ahead and take that a little closer to game time. And then Trey Smith, the report from Ian Rappaport yesterday was that he'll be out for a little bit. We'll see if it ends up being more than a 10, 12-day stretch. We'll look next week, but hard to imagine him making it work on the short week. But the big news here from the injury report is that Xavier Worthy with his ankle, Rashee Rice with his hamstring, and Leo Chanel with his knee, they were all full participants today. Yesterday's practice report was an estimated injury report saying, hey, if we did have to practice on Monday, what would it have looked like? And Worthy, Rice, and Chanel were all limited estimates on Monday, all full today. So It looks like all good to go on the injury front for the weapons there. Isaiah Pacheco, also a full participant with the knee injury. Although I did think it was interesting. Matt mentioned on 41 as the mic on his show with Nick Jacobs that Pacheco was basically wearing a like offensive lineman sized knee brace. That wasn't today, and that would have been in reference to last week, I guess. So I'm not sure if that's changed this week. But just him kind of trying to, it seemed like Pacheco avoided serious injury. It looked like it could have been much worse at the point of contact, but a good bit of news there. George Karlaftis, full participant. He's just dealing with the thumb persistently there. And Patrick Mahomes is on the injury report with a groin issue. He was asked about that at his presser today, and he said it was on one of his scrambles there, just kind of fighting through it. But full participation across the board, except for Chris Roland Wallace being limited, and then no practice for Noah Gray or Trey Smith. I believe, let me just confirm here that Tyler Guyton, the Cowboys tackle, another DNP for him, officially did not practice today. He's the Cowboys' only DNP today, but there was the report that he is not expected to be able to go, dealing with ankle sprains of his own. So Tyler Guyton and Trey Smith kind of trading off a little bit there in terms of important members of the offensive lines out with ankle injuries. Not official yet, and I guess we'll get official designation tomorrow. It is so, I know that you do this every time there's Thursday night football too, but especially with it being Thanksgiving and the short week and then going on the road, just a really, really tight week of estimations. Also here from Matt, a little more context, saying the Chiefs' only practice this week was today, and it was a light 10-10-10 practice, which is like a Friday workout. And the Monday and Wednesday injury reports will just be estimations. So not anything official on that front. That's just the latest for a very light workload there today. You know, the most important thing from the Chiefs backfield has been that they've been able to trust a guy like Kareem Hunt. That's why it was so weird when he fumbled the ball in the red zone, hadn't lost a fumble in forever. The Chiefs hadn't lost a fumble all year. And sometimes you just want to make sure you're getting the real thing, that you can rely on the truth and having some security in what you do, which is why I'm here to talk about Cash App. I'm killing the segues today. Sterling could simply never. A big shout out to Cash App. They got built-in card security that keeps your money safe from fraud and the protections that you expect. The holidays are all about finding the perfect gift. We've already told you about that today, but this time of year, not every deal is actually what it seems. Scammers are getting more creative to trick people into sharing their payment info through methods like fake shopping sites and giveaways that are too good to be true. But luckily, Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You can also lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. Stay one step ahead of scams this season and keep your money secure with Cash App. Here's what I can tell you. Here's what's your offer. Here's what I can lead you to if you're not already using Cash App. I've just had Cash App for so long that I kind of assumed everybody did, but maybe you don't. Well, good news, because you get an extra special offer here from Cash App. For limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App. Use our exclusive referral code SECURE10. That's SECURE10, all one word. Use that in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. I think what I'll do here is leave you with one final thought on the way out as we do head into Thanksgiving, as we look back on what has been a hectic few weeks in Chiefs Kingdom. A bit of perspective and a bit of a zoomed out look at where things stand. Right now, I know the Kansas City Chiefs are in 10th place in the AFC. It does not feel good to look at the standings right now and to see Steelers, Chiefs, Dolphins. If you would have showed me that screenshot, even if you would just like cover the records, if you would have showed me that screenshot before the season and said, hey, This is what the standings are going to look like on Thanksgiving. I would have been unhappy. I wouldn't have believed you. I would have probably asked when Patrick Mahomes got injured. Like, I think that's probably what it would have taken for me to believe that the AFC 10 seed on Thanksgiving would be the Kansas City Chiefs. But it's actually a little bit better than it appears. And I really do think that there's plenty of reason for optimism right now, if and only if the Chiefs handle business. The Chiefs are 6-5 right now, behind two other 6-5 teams. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who have the tiebreaker right now over conference win percentage. And it's a Pittsburgh team, excuse me, that has fallen out of the lead in the AFC North as the Ravens have taken over there because of their tiebreaker. And the Steelers get the Bills next, the Ravens after. They're either going to have no Aaron Rodgers or an injured Aaron Rodgers. They still have to play the Dolphins and Lions before getting the Browns and Ravens to end the season. The Ravens have the tiebreaker over the Steelers right now, and they haven't even played yet. Their left tackle is not playing this week, even if Aaron Rodgers does. I think the Steelers are going to fade. The Texans, I thought, were going to fade, and then I watched them on Thursday Night Football. I watched them go 3-0 with Davis Mills. Not because of Davis Mills, but they did win those 3 games that he had to start over the Jags, Titans, and inexplicably, the Bills. Not inexplicably. That's not fair, because it's explained by what they did with the pass rush. Well, the Texans coming up next have the Colts and Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. You don't have to rely on the Colts to win that game, although it'd be nice. It'd be better for the Colts to just win the division at this point and to try to beat the Texans on the way. Try to get the Jags out of the mix because, spoiler alert, they're the second next team on the list. But the Chiefs have a chance still to just beat the Texans themselves. If the Chiefs and Texans win out, but the Chiefs win the head-to-head, the Chiefs will beat the Texans in the playoff seeding. If they're even, it's all going to come down to that head-to-head game. The Chiefs have lost the tiebreakers to the Bills and the Jaguars, and that's concerning. Those are the 2 teams right now that I think you have to have the most fear about, just insofar as where they stand in the tiebreaker, because they've already stubbed their toe there. The Jags are going to get a free win against the Titans this weekend. Then they get the Colts, a free win against the Jets. Maybe the Broncos do the Chiefs a favor by beating the Jags on December 21st. Then they get the Colts again before another free win over the Titans. The Chargers are up next, and the Chiefs can even out the tiebreaker there. And we know that the Chargers are on a bad trajectory because they have no tackles, despite entering the year with 2 excellent ones. Just a tough scene and a tough injury season for Los Angeles. Here's the thing, for better or for worse, the Chiefs don't really need help right now. The Chiefs don't really need excuses. The Chiefs don't need to scoreboard watch if they win. If the Chiefs just win out along the way, they'll take care of so many of these problems in the standings. We will go back to scoreboard watching, and we will watch some games between our staring through our fingers, afraid to look at the screen. But if the Chiefs look like the Chiefs the rest of the way, we'll be talking about how dangerous they are as a wild card team, as opposed to talking about how sad it is that they're going to be outside looking in when the playoffs arrive. That's the corner they turned against the Colts. But you have to continue that against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. You've got to continue that on Sunday Night Football against the Texans and a hell of a pass rush at home, where you may or may not have Trey Smith. You've got to do it against a Chargers team that's fallen off since they beat you to open the season in Brazil. These are the things still in front of Kansas City. They really can, even though this is a bit of a misnomer because the phrase is not exactly accurate. They essentially control their own destiny. A 12-5 record is getting you a comfy spot in the playoffs. And 11-6 is probably getting you in, unless that one loss comes to the Texans. Now they've got the tiebreaker. The Chiefs don't have a lot of breathing room. They have a tiny bit. But they can have some security with another win and another win and another win, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where we're at now. The Chiefs don't need help. They need to help themselves. Win these football games the rest of the way, and we'll have a very fun Christmas. We'll have a very fun New Year, and we'll be talking about this team in the playoffs. But they go to Dallas on Thanksgiving, and they lay a turducken. We're right back to where we were before that Colts win. Right now, the vibes are much better than they were before that Colts win, so I am rooting for a victory. I know you are as well. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on a Tuesday without Sterling. I am Joshua Brisco. You can follow me on socials everywhere. I'm at JB Brisco. You can check out my show, Everything Else with Joshua Brisco. That's Mondays and Fridays. Only Weird Games on KC Sports Network. That's coming up in about an hour over on KCSN. I'm talking in places all over the place, including the Chiefs Radio Network, pregame, postgame, and all of that, including on the holidays. We'll be there to get you ready for the games as they come. So appreciate you hanging out with us here. Thanks again to everyone at Arrowhead Addict. Check them out online at arrowheadaddict.com. Go leave us a review on the podcast. Leave a 5-star review. Say that you enjoy the show more without Sterling. No, don't say like that. Say you enjoy the show more with Josh. And until next time, I am out.